I want to make a comment on something, observation, let's put it away. And people who are watching on television, Kent News, Spy, this has been as no criticism, big letters about anybody. But it wasn't until after the meeting last week, when we had Owen McCoy and some of the farm members here, that we were given this part of the study to look at, of the farm market report. And then I asked Suzanne Street if I could have a copy of the survey that was given to the farmers. And I read the survey first, and I couldn't find anything offensive by it. Matter of fact, I found it to be quite valuable to people who were on the ground, who work there every week, for their observations and opinions about what goes on. And it was a variety of questions. They asked them if they would share things like, should there be expanded hours? Do you advertise? Would you like to have a farm market website linked to your business? Should there be a limit on the number of vendors selling a particular item? So I found this to be a very helpful questionnaire, because unless you find out the opinions of the people who are participating, you really can't do a good job of forming a report. And I found it very discouraging to find out that when members of Mr. Whelan went to every single farmer there, that they took them in front of him and threw them in the garbage, which is too bad, because there could have been some very valuable information we could use. And then I read this portion of the report that we received, and once again, I couldn't find anything offensive, inflammatory. I found it to be very general, and I found a couple of other things they said to be very self-explanatory. They were very clear in the introduction, and they said, it is important to note again that this study was not undertaken in the belief that the current market is broken in some way. In fact, over its 30 years of existence, since volunteer J.B. Godion first proposed the idea of a farm market to town government, the town's Saturday ritual gathering in the Fountain Park has thrived beyond the founders' wildest hopes. What they were hoping in order to prepare for the next decade is in the best interest of the market is to review the market practices to ensure that it is addressing the needs of the community. That's all they were talking about in this whole report. They weren't talking about striking the farmers from here or taking people away. This was just part of the report they had not finished that was going to be handed to us with no comments from them. And then we would make the decision about whether we would agree to some suggestions, not agree to any of them, agree to all of them. So I think, and I feel badly for the volunteers, because people who volunteer for this town should be a treasured commodity. And they should not have their reputation trashed by anyone. And I want to apologize to the market committee who have met and worked hard, that there must have been a misunderstanding, and if I had known the topic of the conversation last week, I would have asked them to hold off until we had everybody here. The study group has met with all the farmers on 2 meeting occasions. One meeting I think ran about 2 hours, maybe that one? 2.5 hours. It was a long meeting, so people have had an opportunity to speak their mind. These opinions, I think, will be put down in the final report. The final report is not here yet. So people, this should not be taken as a bashing of this volunteer group. We thank them for the hard work. We thank the farmers and the vendors for their interest and their hard work. It's just a matter of somehow someone didn't, I know change is hard, but no one's even suggesting we change anything. This was just a matter of the competition start going to get even fiercer as people see from the success of our markets that other towns now want to expand their markets, and we have to make sure we remain the best we can be, because we have been the best, and we don't want to lose that wonderful episode.
Can I ask
the chairman of that group came up to me when I went to a lecture at the college and said, I understand that the council was upset with my food and so forth. And he went on to say, I don't know why the council wants this. Why do you want this? We're willing to take it over. Why do you want it? And I said, because the park belongs to the town. And if things go good, people don't know to come in and say that. But if they go bad, you're not gonna get blamed for it, we are. So we're gonna supervise what goes on down there, because that park belongs to the town.
Well, sometimes,
And he went on me pretty heavy,
Well,
because he thought that, he should be allowed to take over the.
well, he didn't want to take over. But that
Well, that's what it says in
No,
there.
no. It one.
Well, that's what the impression well, you weren't there, Margo. Maybe you heard his version of it, but I heard the version.
I haven't heard anybody's version.
One-on-one, it was me and him.
It had been a suggestion at one point that is done in many towns. That often markets are run under main streets because main streets can often apply for grants that municipalities cannot get. This is one of the proposals. We can reject it if we want. That's all there is to it, because nothing any group would ever turn into us can be adopted unless we as a council agree with it. Nothing, ever. We have the final say on all things.
Maybe he'll come in and make the same arguments to
Oh, they're gonna begin eventually when they finish the whole report. This is not the whole report. Linda has
Can
something
I,
to say.
can I say something?
Yes.
I think some good things came out of the meeting with all of the vendors together, excuse me, because apparently they had never all met together before. And one of the first things that I acted on was shoplifting. I had no idea that there was shoplifting at the farmer's market, and that was a big concern. So I emailed Chief and I asked you if we could have some police presence in the market on Saturday morning. I mean, that was one thing that I could do immediately. And I would never make a ruling on this because I'm a dog lover, but they were talking about dogs wetting on the produce, on the products, on their produce, on their flowers. And it's like, I'm a dog person, but I would never take my dog to the farmer's market either. But, I really didn't think about that either. And then as far as liability insurance goes, would it be cheaper for them to get liability insurance collectively instead of individually? That's an option. And I forget what else it was. The possibility of selling bottled wine. And we've had quite a few people, even an attorney, look into this because we have two or three wineries right around here. We have
Crow Farms.
Crow Farms and Castanelli's, and then somebody told me there's one in Millington. And
Well, you're gonna have to get legislation to take care of
No, not necessarily. This came up,
Queen Anne's.
Didn't they
yeah,
talk
something to
about-
do with
yeah,
farmers market.
yeah, and it also came up
that.
here.
You have to get a one-day license each time.
Yeah,
you
there's
go.
something connected to the market that's different. This came up when, I can't remember whether it was Crow Farms or.
Mayor, you better listen to the expert over there.
Wait a minute, this
I
came,
enforced the alcoholic beverage laws
Right.
for 17 years.
I know.
Go ahead and tell me about it.
I'm sorry, this came up with as a market venture through the state of Maryland. And this came up through the county where there was a one-day thing issue. And you couldn't drink a glass of wine, you could have a little thing to taste the wine if you wanted to have a
But
variety of signs.
this wasn't even open bottles, this was,
Are you familiar with 2B?
I took the course of
Yeah,
it.
well, yeah, well, okay.
anyway.
You know how thick it is. Each county has its own laws
All right,
and
all right,
regulations.
all right.
I can tell you, Kent County's not gonna let you just go down there and sell alcohol
This
good.
is,
unless you get a bill paid.
Anyway.
all right, forget it. This is
These-
not
these
about
were-
selling, this
I
is
don't-
about wine, all right.
This was just things, and this was like a half a dozen things that came up
Yeah.
that, you wouldn't even have thought of.
No, it's
And,
really quite interesting. You
yeah.
sit there and watch. The
And it was
dogs
just
are a big
listening.
problem.
Well, it was just listening to when everybody got together, and apparently the first meeting was the first time they had
When
all
was
gotten
this?
together.
Everybody get together meetings. Before
Oh,
they,
2 months ago?
Wait,
before the farmers came in or after?
Yeah, before,
no,
before.
no, that was we've had 2 meetings with all.
Before they
with
came
the
in,
farmers and the vendors.
I'm
And,
trying to hear her.
I just told you, before they came in last week.
Yeah.
They met with
2
them
meetings
twice.
before Ellen came in last time. 2 joint meetings. And, you know, there were a lot of things. I had no idea that there was shoplifting. Wouldn't even have thought about it, you know, with so many people around. So that was something to just take care of right away, and I did it.
So what I'm trying to say here is that no one's at fault, no one criticized it, but I think we needed to have the balance. We wish we had had an opportunity. At some point, when this report is finished, then everybody can get together and you can read the whole thing, decide what you want to keep.
The
not
part I
keep.
don't understand is why, if they had this meeting with the farmers come in here so upset.
I don't understand that either.
It sounded to me like that, and I know I heard it right from him, we weren't on the committee and nobody consulted us.
Well, they got together, one of their meetings was about 2 hours long.
Did anybody else hear that, or am I the only one?
No, I heard it too.
Linda's on the committee.
But she's on the committee, I didn't, and I don't know, I mean.
Were the farmers all at the meeting that you're talking
It
about?
started out with a group of people looking at farmers markets in other states and their listings. What are the fees? I can't remember all the categories now.
But I'm talking about, did the farmers come to the meetings?
There were 2 meetings. After everything was put together, the farmers came to the meetings. There were some items on the questionnaire, which I believe the last one, I don't have one with me, but the last one was something about if they came together as a certain entity, then would they, in 2 years' time, would they be juried, or some people wouldn't be able to get in the market? Look at the long one, I think it's the long one, and that upset them, which I don't blame
And
them.
then you just take it, but it was a questionnaire.
Yeah.
It wasn't a document, but what we're not doing here, we're doing just what we should have done last week. The point of my comments were, we should not have had the discussion as deeply as we did without the committee being here. So my apologies to those volunteers who have worked hard. There were some misunderstandings. We will go forward at an appropriate time when the report is done, and we will take it under advisement. That is our right and our charge to do so. So we'll wait till the final product is in before we start levying heavy criticism, okay? Okay, so we'll put this to rest. And remember, guys, there was no criticism of anybody. I don't want to see headlines saying, mayor criticizes.